Welcome to today's presentation of Rhode Island's Family Guide to Multi-Tiered System of Support. My name is Deb Belanger, and I am the Manager of Training and Technical Assistance here at Rhode Island Parent Information Network. RIPIN is a state-designated parent training and information center for Rhode Island, one of many parent centers throughout the country. We were established in 1991 and have been providing information, resources, training, and support to families and individuals for almost 25 years, including families of children with disabilities. In collaboration with the Rhode Island Department of Education, the Paul V. Sherlock Center on Disabilities, and the Rhode Island MTSS implementation team, this workshop was designed to help families understand the role that MTSS plays in the education of their children. Our hope is to provide an overview with resources in order that parents become informed collaborators at their schools. The Family Guide to MTSS is one of our many workshops and trainings RIPIN provides, with today's presentation focusing on providing families a basic overview of the multi-tiered system of support in Rhode Island schools. In addition to the PowerPoint slides, we have also included a number of other resources which may be helpful. At the end of today's presentation, we ask that you take a minute and complete a short survey in order to provide us with feedback. We utilize your input in order to improve the information we share with families. So let's get started. So here's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to give you a little introduction to MTSS and how is MTS new and different. We'll discuss more specifics of MTSS, including the key components in the three-tier process, including universal screening, supplemental instruction, and intensive instruction for students in need. We're going to talk a little bit about how your child's progress is being monitored and what happens if special education is needed. We'll end with what questions parents should be asking and tips that parents can do at home in order to promote student success. Schools are committed to helping all children succeed. They have many ways to help children learn and to ensure that those who need additional supports are successful. MTSS is one way schools give every child the right type of support to learn, grow, and succeed. This workshop reviews for family the basic components of any MTSS process and includes questions parents might want to ask their child's school in order to learn more about the process. Also included are ways you can get involved and what to do and where to go if you have those questions or concerns. Parents play a critical role in supporting what their children are learning in school, and research shows that the more parents are involved in student learning, the higher student achievement. So how is this new and different from what schools have already been doing all along? The MTSS framework helps schools really identify each child's needs and to provide support as early as possible. They use strategies proven to work with all students. They provide support to meet each student's needs and regularly check progress to know what works. Most importantly, they change instruction as needed to match each child's learning. Now again, we know that parents play an important role in their child's learning, and as you go through this workshop, you'll learn how MTS helps your child and how you can help your child as well. So what is MTSS? Countless children are able to successfully learn at school every day. However, some children need more help in order to succeed, and there are always a few students who need a little bit more intensive support. MTSS is a multi-step problem-solving team process of providing instruction and support to children to promote the academic and behavioral success of all children. The MTSS process utilizes various staff that partner with families as they assess, implement, and monitor evidence-based strategies as a team. Educators, school psychologists, social workers, literacy specialists, English language learner specialists, and others are valued for their expertise and contribute to the methodology used. MTSS system supports all areas of both academic and behavior. The process is flexible and designed by school districts to meet the needs of their students. Up to now, you may have heard the terms Positive Behavior Intervention Supports, or PBIS, and or Response to Intervention, RTI, that may be taking place in your school. MTSS is considered the marriage or merger of these two systems of interventions in order to provide support to the whole child. Research shows that supporting children holistically and engaging families really improves student outcomes. When schools implement MTSS, it results in more ways for students to receive support and be successful. What does MTSS look like? MTSS has 3 tiers, or differing levels of instruction and support. Tier 1, considered universal support, includes that instruction and support provided to all children. Tier 2, which is considered supplemental or targeted support, and serves those students needing a little bit more help. Extra instruction and support are provided additionally to a child's general education class in small groups. Parents should be asking questions regarding the specifics of the support and how long they will be tracking that before determining whether that support is actually being effective. Tier 3, the intensive level, is for children who need that more intensive support in order to be successful. Extra instruction and intensive support for these children are provided in even smaller groups. Another key component to the MTSS process is called progress monitoring. Progress monitoring is a way for teachers to take a snapshot of how students are doing on a specific skill. It shows how well the intervention is working. Progress monitoring tools may include things like curriculum-based measures, CBMs. For example, Ames Web, DIBBLES might be language that you might be hearing. General outcome measures like STAR or daily behavior rating charts like check-in, check-out cards may also be used. Progress monitoring helps determine whether an intervention is successful or if it needs to be adjusted based on the data that's being collected. Formal plans for interventions and progress monitoring should be developed by the school that typically details a student's goal. For instance, what the intervention is. What are we actually working on with that student? How often, the frequency and duration and intensity of that intervention, as well as who is actually providing the intervention and how that progress will be measured. These are important questions for families to really be asking as to how schools are helping their child. Progress monitoring helps answer the question, is what we're doing working? Which is really important. Educators and parents want to know if the extra support the child is receiving is actually working. While students may be identified as needing progressive supports, moving from Tier 1 to Tier 2 to Tier 3, depending upon the gap between the student's current level of functioning and his or her peer group grade level, as well as the age and grade level of the student, there may be a need to move immediately to the more intensive level of supports. We'll discuss that further on in the presentation. So let's talk about academics first. In Tier 1, all students receive high-quality curriculum and core instruction in the general education classroom. The teacher is there to assist all students, and universal screening is utilized for all students and may identify those who are particularly at risk for learning or behavioral difficulties. In Tier 2, the school provides supplemental instruction, usually in small groups, to the students who need additional support from what they're already receiving in that general education classroom. A specialist may be involved at this point. In Tier 3, intensive instructional support is provided to students with the greatest needs with frequent progress monitoring. This support is individualized and generally provided by a specialist. Curriculum-based measures like Ames Web, DIBBLES, and general outcome measures like STAR may be used to progress monitor. So when it comes to the area of behavior, in Tier 1, a school-wide approach is utilized to explicitly teach, practice, and reinforce positive behavioral expectations. In the event that a student commits a behavioral infraction, the consequence for that behavior is consistent. Consequences do not differ from student to student. So basically, they're the rules of the school that everyone has to follow. In Tier 2, the school provides supplemental targeted behavioral skill interventions, usually in small groups. In Tier 3, student-centered planning is used to develop really that customized interventions where progress is monitored frequently. Again, things like daily behavior rating charts, those check-in, check-out cards, and other progress monitoring tools previously mentioned may be used. Parent involvement can have an important impact on a child's learning success. That continual, ongoing homeschool communication between teachers and parents plays such a key role. When schools provide parents with information that is specific, centered around their child, and really meaningful to that child, parents are more engaged in implementing strategies at home. Homeschool communication keeps families informed and really in sync with classroom practices and interventions, along with updates to their child's performance and skill development. When teachers and parents work together to provide support, they can encourage and help children at both at school and at home. Where does MTSS begin, and what are the key components to any MTSS process? The beginning always starts with children receiving high-quality curriculum and instruction in the general education classroom, which is Tier 1. One of the results of universal screening, where schools are reviewing the progress of all students, some students may be identified as needing supplemental instruction. Screenings are typically taking place 3 times a year and help schools determine which students may need more support or other kinds of instruction. At the middle and high school level, screenings may take the form of early warning systems, which look at students who might be at risk, including attendance, discipline, and grades. As a result of universal screening, some students may be identified as needing supplemental instruction, a Tier 2 level of support, in addition to the high-quality instruction they are receiving in Tier 1. Evidence-based interventions are teaching strategies or methods that have been proven to be effective in helping children be more successful with academics or behavior. There are many different kinds of interventions and instructions that can happen in various settings and by multiple staff or faculty. For example, a Tier 2 instruction might be provided to a small group of children for 30 or 40 minutes each day. Small group instruction for an additional period of time each day has many benefits for a child needing extra help. With fewer children in a group, an individual child has more opportunities to respond, and the teacher has more opportunities to give immediate and appropriate feedback to that child. In some schools, the classroom teacher gives a small group tier instruction in the general education classroom, perhaps in a quiet corner of the classroom. Other school staff members, such as a reading specialist, may provide within the classroom. Small group instruction might also take place in another room in the school, maybe in the school library or in an available office. At the middle and high school level, it is important that interventions focus on skills students need in order to make meaningful progress in academic content areas and may include teaching foundational skills such as explicit reading instruction and writing strategy instruction. When utilizing the Early Warning System, EWS, schools determine which students are at risk for failure by looking at certain indicators. One of those indicators is the attendance percentage, which is the percentage of days students are present at school in any given school year. Number 2, they take a look at the number of suspensions, the count of the number of suspensions accumulated, again, by students over a school year. Number 3, years over age, the number of years students are older than a typical student in a given grade. Number 4, aggregate on-track percentage, which is the likelihood of students graduating on time if they stay on their current path. And lastly, number 5, the PARCC reading and math scores. So that's the score students received on their last administration of the Math and Reading State Assessment, the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers, known as PARCC. So those are the 5 indicators that they'd be taking a look at. And it's important to note that interventions at the middle and high school level are not simply just reteaching content that's occurred in the classroom or providing study hall opportunities, nor is it simply assisting students to complete their day-to-day assignments. While those are great supports that all schools provide, they are not considered interventions. A few students may need more time, support, and smaller groups than Tier 2. Tier 3 instruction could be needed and is a more explicit, more individualized, skill-focused form of intervention. When progress monitoring shows that a child is not responding to an intervention, a systematic approach is utilized to determine how an intervention may be adjusted in that it is individually intensified to meet a student's needs. Progress is monitored more frequently during Tier 3 interventions to make sure the student is progressing and to help the teacher determine whether they need to make changes in instruction. When students' goals are met, it's recommended that gradually decreasing those intervention supports and continuing to monitor that progress to ensure that the targeted skill we've been working on is sustained as well as generalized back into a classroom setting. What if the data suggests my child needs special education services? If at any time parents or teachers believe a child may have a disability and require, say, referral to special education, they have a right to request a formal evaluation for these services. In addition to the information gathered from assessments and interventions done during the MTSS process, other forms of data might be gathered to ensure a full and comprehensive evaluation occurs to determine if a child is eligible to receive special education services. Parents must provide prior written consent before this evaluation is conducted. It's important to note that MTSS processes cannot be used to delay or deny the child find process if a child is suspected of having a disability. For more information about special education services, your rights and responsibilities in the process, and how MTSS may be used to provide information to the process, please contact the Rhode Island Parent Information Network's Parent Training and Information Center at 401-270-0101 and ask for our call center. Basic Rights in Special Education and Section 504 Parent Guide trainings are available at the Rhode Island Parent Information Network and online webinars at www.ripin.org. So what questions can I ask to learn more about how MTSS works in my child's school? These are just a few of them, and certainly asking questions like, so what curriculum are you going to be teaching my child? And when does the universal screening occur? And will you be sending me some kind of information on that? What are the specific interventions being put in place for my child if they're really struggling in the classroom? And how will the school be monitoring my child's progress? In addition, how will I be informed of my child's progress? Will I be getting an email? Will you be sending something home in their backpack? How are those lessons taught? And who's actually going to be supporting my child and working with them? What happens if it doesn't work? How will I be notified? What are the school-wide behavior expectations in a school? Are they listed on a website? Are they in a handbook? It's important to know how my child is being assessed and how frequently that's happening. MTSS is a solid system that supports every child's learning success, and parental involvement can have an important impact on their child's learning achievement. The help you provide at home is so important. The hopes and expectations you hold for your child's success are especially powerful. What your child sees you do and hears you say, and the types of things you have in your home are all important in helping your child learn. Some ideas include have many reading and writing tools available for your child and let your child see you reading frequently. Talk with your child in order to expand their language and listen and respond to what your child says. Tell stories and listen to their stories and praise your child for their hard work. Let your child know that schoolwork and reading is important, and we reward positive behaviors. Really be looking for when they're just doing a great job. Stay informed. Learn what your child should be doing to be successful by working with your school, and work with them regularly, especially your child's teachers. Support your child at home using similar strategies as to what is being provided already at school. And here's a few more tips. Make reading an everyday habit at home. Find that time set aside every day for a few minutes of reading. And maybe you can also read the same time with your child. Communicate with your child's teacher. Provide a space for your child to complete homework assignments. And don't be afraid to ask for regular monitoring reports from the school so that you can stay on the same page with what they are also monitoring at school. Share your child's successes. Let your child know how proud you are of them. Take time to learn more about the curriculum and interventions being used in your child's school. Attend those parent-teacher conferences and any other school meetings about your child. Talk to your child about those expectations that you have for them, and help your child develop regular routines that support success in school. Every child has strengths, and take that time to really encourage those strengths, especially when they may be struggling on other areas. Reinforce and reward your child for that appropriate behavior at home. If you still have questions, please talk to your child's teacher or principal for more information about how MTSS is being implemented in your child's school. If you'd like more information about MTSS and how it's implemented in Rhode Island, please visit any of the following websites for more information. Here are some additional resources that might be helpful, including parent toolkits around social emotional learning, information on response to intervention, and tips to be used in parent-teacher conferences. Thank you for joining today's presentation of Rhode Island's Family Guide to Multi-Tier Systems of Support. For more information about Rhode Island Parent Information Network, our resources, and the workshops we offer, please contact RIPIN's call center at 401-270-0101 or visit our website at www.ripin.org. Thanks again.